The midterms are approaching, and that means a bloodbath for the Democrats. But they do have some strategies, and they're trying to go for every single Hail Mary that they possibly could. And this has been no better seen than over the past couple of weeks. Whether it be the January 6th show trial meetings that are the hearings that are going on, or other such strategies such as pushing gun control for the umpteenth millionth time, or linking the Supreme Court draft back in it was May, I think, where they wanted to maybe not cause some, let's say, spicy protests over at the justices' houses, and then, of course, not talk about them. The Democrats have had going through every single strategy and coming up snake eyes every single time, but they're not alone in this. And over the past week or so, a lot of people who ostensibly are on the other side of the aisle have come out of the woodwork in every attempt to possibly help the Democrats win in 2022 despite their seemingly insurmountable odds against them. And who are these people coming out of the woodwork? Well, of course, it's the RINOs, and they've been attacking on every single possible front over the past week. Whether it be with the January 6th meetings, where Liz Cheney's one of the starring representatives who's going to be kicked out of office in a couple of days, or whether it be the Fox News themselves going out and promoting child sex transition and freaking surgeries and all that sort of crap on their news programs, or whether it be the most recent thing that we have seen, the gun control package. Of course, bipartisan, which is the best way to know that it's going to be awful, where they are going in and supporting red flag laws. Now, the gun control package, frankly, isn't as bad as I initially thought it was going to be. It's only red flag laws and then other worthless nonsense that's not going to change a thing. So, of course, I still disagree with it. I want this not to pass, and I want this to go and burn in a fire. And I really want it to burn in the fire of the Supreme Court, which are going to be coming down with a couple decisions in the coming weeks, in which they hopefully will completely decimate lots of gun control measures that have been going on across the country for years, particularly when it comes to carrying and all that sort of stuff outside of your own home. That is probably the least effective measure that the Republicans, that the RINOs have been going for over the past couple of weeks. But all of these equally frustrate me, especially when one of my own senators, Mitt Romney, is still supporting all this crap, and it is so annoying to watch. And I want this guy out of here as soon as is possible, along with, of course, the governor who's currently in office because of a split vote in a primary that he won about 30% of the vote on. So, it's not as though neither of these two are particularly popular in Utah, by the way. And so the RINOs have been going after on all fronts, attempting to grab defeat from the jaws of victory in every single possible way that they can try, along with the Democrats. Of course, the Democrats themselves have no political capital to speak of and are in such dire straits that they have to turn to their Republican allies and get them to come out and actually expose themselves for the skin suit wearing Republicans or non-Republicans that they are. Which, honestly, just means that we have a lot of openings, because you see, lots of these people are up for primaries very soon. Now, my primaries aren't until the end of the month, and some primaries have already gone through, so it might already be out of the question for you to actually vote out your local RINO. But especially if your local GOP sucks and doesn't actually put up any good candidates in order to actually oppose them. But if you do happen to live in a state in which there is a functioning GOP that isn't infiltrated, well, you have lots of options to go and actually vote out these sorts of RINOs. And that's what you need to do. All of this works from the bottom up. The greatest lie that the establishment has ever told you is not about, it doesn't have anything to do with vaccines or with authoritarianism or with the left or with transgenderism or anything like that, or degeneracy or whatever it is, or authoritarian. It doesn't matter. None of those are the biggest lies. The biggest lie that the establishment has ever told you is that everything works from the top down and that the presidency is the most important election of all, because that is simply not true. The smallest elections, in fact, are the most important ones on any given basis, because the people who are at the bottom are the ones who make sure all the gears are turning. And when they have someone who's above them who isn't in favor of them, well, it turns out that all of these people underneath, in the bureaucracy, actually dealing with the on-the-ground issues, can take those wheels and just sprinkle some sand into it, make them grind to a halt. And that's exactly what happened during the Trump administration from 2016 to 2020. He was being stonewalled at basically every turn from actually doing what he wanted to do, and was even being directly lied to by many people, though not directly in his cabinet, specifically under him in the executive branch, about things such as Afghanistan troop numbers and other such things as that. He was unable to accomplish a lot of what he could do, not just because of things going on in the executive branch, but also what was happening upon local governance, because the local governments were not poised to help Trump in any way either. Now, that a lot of that's changed over the past couple of years. It's been great, especially with people like Scott Pressler going around and actually doing this on-the-ground stuff and understanding this on a fairly fundamental level. But that doesn't mean that you need to sit on your knees either. You need to go out and actually go and vote out these RINOs in the primary. You need to go out and you need to make sure that you're actually involving yourself and not just voting on party lines or anything like that. Because Republicans and Democrats, now, Democrats are almost always worse than Republicans, but if you don't go out and actually make sure that your Republican is good, then it doesn't matter, especially, as I pointed out, that incumbency bias ends up making it so that RINOs get stuck in positions for eons and end up dying in office, such as, say, John McCain, when they really should have been voted out by the populace, which was much more conservative than they are. That's what should have happened, but it didn't. And that's because the on-the-ground stuff was not happening. That's what needs to change, and that's what you need to do, and that's where I'm going to leave you guys off. If you enjoyed that video, do subscribe down below, and check me out on other platforms. I'm on BitChute, I'm on Odyssey, I'm on Brighteon, I'm on Rumble, I'm on all of those places, and I'm also on Minds, Gab, and Getter. All of those links are down in the description. I suggest you go check them out. I'm KelKidman. This has been Breaking on the Daily. Don't be square.